This is the Shitcoin Detective, and today let's take a look at the baked beans and what this cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme is and how does it work, and whether or not you should participate in it, because this could make you money. It's something where you deposit BNB and then you get basically you deposit into a large pool, and then it promises you 8% APR daily. So 8% a day is what you are getting, which then they calculate to you that it's a 2,900% APR. Now this is basically what's happening is that you deposit BNB and then you can take out BNB from a pool, and that's all there is to this. So there is some somewhat complicated algorithm that is running in the background, which then, if you are taking out BNB from a pool too often, then it decreases your APR. So the promised 8% APR, it's only valid in conditions that is for nobody actually. So nobody is getting this 8%. And additionally, there is a 3% developer fee, meaning that each deposit will take 3% off, and each withdrawal is also taking 3% off. So this is the developer who made this very, very complicated website is taking 3% of all the funds. And if this has been suggested to you by one of your friends, then they are taking 12% of your input. So that's a very nice way of using your social network and monetizing them and screwing your friends over by getting them to invest into a Ponzi scheme. But why am I keep saying that this is a Ponzi scheme? So what is a Ponzi scheme? Ponzi, it's an Italian, scammer basically, who was in the 1920s. So basically he started collecting money from investors, and then he paid the early investors from the late investors' money, and they said there is like something in the background where Baked Beans is saying that there's a miner. This is like cloud mining, that so he basically took money from investors and then he paid the early investors from the later investors' money, and there was no business whatsoever that was operating. And he was promising 8% monthly interest rate. You see, 8% a month is not very good when it comes to cryptocurrency, and we need to promise people 8% a day, because welcome to the 21st century when everything is hyper overloaded. So red flags. High investment returns with little or no risk. Yeah, 8% a day, and that's it, right? Overly consistent returns. Yeah, this is smart contract is doing this. So that red flag is there. Unregistered investments. This is not regulated by anything because we are talking about cryptocurrency. There are no regulations for the cryptocurrencies. There is some, but it's still early days. Unlicensed sellers. Yeah, this is just a website. Secretive or complex strategies. Yeah, well, there is no strategy. There's just a pool of money. They don't even try to sell you that there will be extra money generated. There's no extra money generated. There's just a pool of money that people put in money and other people stake out money from, and everyone gets 8% APR. So try understanding how does that work. So, and difficulty receiving payments. Yes, users are reporting that because they are taking out payments, that they've been reporting that the actual BNB value is decreasing every day, even if they are doing something called baking. We are at this stage already. So basically the this is unraveling. So this is how Ponzi schemes basically fall apart, is that they don't receive a continuous stream of investors, and then it just, the money stops flowing, and then the Ponzi scheme falls apart because you cannot pay the early investors the money anymore. And the early investors have been convincing the late investors to invest into this. All right, so let's take a look at how many people have been scammed by this. According to the Telegram, they have 21,000 members. This Telegram member list have been a little bit unreliable because there are some groups that have, millions of Telegram users. 7,000 people are following it on the Pickle Beans. Twitter. Now, this is not the first time this sort of Ponzi scheme is launched, because there have been other smart contracts that have been very similar like this. Especially that there was some sort of, they were doing the same, except it called it eggs instead of beans. So I took a look at their smart contract. There is now $13 million in the liquidity. It's not a liquidity pool. It's just a pool of money. So there is $13 million have been invested into this scam, or 33,000 Bnb. And now every balance that is here has been taxed by the owner, and I think later we will take a look at the wallet that the owner is using to basically siphon funds out of this pool. But basically, if you want to know whether or not this Ponzi is still going or not, I can show you that it's basically falling apart, because it's been running since last year's November. So it almost fell apart in January, but then somehow they maybe started doing extra advertising or something like that, and it really blew out of proportions in March and April. So this is the Bmb balance. As you can see, the Bmb balance in the past few days have been decreasing, which means that it doesn't receive enough money for this pool to be increasing. The scam is already falling apart, and when we look at the comments, people are complaining that as much as this information is valid, 8% a day is not true, keeps lowering every day. There is another 3%. Yeah, 3% is the developer taking money. But basically people are saying that the rewards is being lowered. And yes, that is the only way that this scam keeps on going as long as possible. If they decrease the rewards and they keep on, trying to milk this as long as possible. You can also take a look at the Bnb transfers. As you can see, the Bnb transfers, the maximum Bnb transfer that has been sent out, it's peaked a few days ago, but the received it's peaked at the beginning of April. So what we can tell by this graph is that the Bnb rewards that are paid out are going to the early investors. So whoever is invested here, you are already too late, because the pool is decreasing, and also the new investors have been rapidly decreasing. So by the today, which is the 24th, it's not here, this is the 23rd, they only received 1,000 Bnb, while a few days ago there was almost 4,000 Bnb received a day. So what we can see here is that the Ponzi scheme has already fallen apart, because it's not receiving new investors. Which means that, you know, this has like another few days left, and then this would probably go to zero. I should have covered this Ponzi scheme before. I didn't because, you know, I cannot pay attention to a million things that is happening on the blockchain. But basically, if you invest it now, you never get back your money. Other people will get your money because they will try to get the, you know, their 8% APR. So we are there now, and let's take a look at the one transaction, which is a withdrawal transaction. So this is taking money from the pool, right? And it goes to two different addresses, right? One address is that the person who, you know, invested, and I'm using air quotes here, invested into this scam. He receives almost 0.01 Bnb, and the developer receives 3% on that. And this is the developer's account's smart contract, which is it's been doing this. So they are receiving, it's like 100 Bnb a day, something like that. So launching Ponzi scheme seems to be very, very profitable. Like this is what they receive in one day. It's there's like a transaction of 60 Bnb, 10 Bnb, 5 Bnb. I mean, this is a very good, you know, very nice amount of money here that they're receiving. And they're forwarding it to this address. It seems to be an address where they accumulate money and then forward it into an address which is then goes to their Binance wallet. And so this is how scammers are getting rid of the tracing of money, right? They forward it into a wallet, they forward it into Binance, they forwarded it into Tornado Cash, which is an obfuscation. I still have to cover that basically because it's if you see basically Tornado Cash for a developer, you can be sure that you are participating in a scam. So, but basically, they seem to accumulate this Bnb, and then every 100 Bnb they are transferring it to Binance. So this is baked beans. If you put in money here now, then you will receive back less money than what you put in, even though it's telling you that it's 8% daily return. This is not the complete info, and you are only getting the complete info if you read up on it, which I'm not going to do that now because it's just going to be like explaining to you that, oh, you're supposed to rebake the beans instead of buying, instead of getting the payout, and it will reduce your APR. It doesn't matter, all right? What matters is the amount of money in the smart contract, and the entire notion that this is just a Ponzi scheme, right? Late investors are funding the APR of early investors. You don't need to know more about this. This has been the Shitcoin Detective. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, you can support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. You can join me on Telegram. We can have a few discussions there. Take care, everyone.